Hi, this lesson we will look at statistic 2, hypothesis testing. First point, the purpose of hypothesis testing is to determine whether a claim value of a population parameter, such as a population mean, should be accepted as being plausible based on sample evidence. Okay, so second point, when we look at hypothesis test, or we call it significant test, is a process by which a decision is made between two opposing hypotheses. The two opposing hypotheses are formulated so that each hypothesis is the negation of the other. So, for example, H now, H1. Okay, H1 is the alternative hypothesis, and the HO is the null hypothesis. Let's say we are looking at the population mean of a certain type of plant. In the past, it has been 25 cm. All right. After a certain type of fertilizer is used, we want to see whether the mean height of this plant has increased. So that is where we label it as the H1 has increased. So the mean height, is it greater than 25? Okay. Now, let's see the points of the null hypothesis. A statement or claim, right? In this case, the population mean to be 25. About a population parameter that is assumed to be true until it is declared false. So we expect the mean height of this plant to be 25 cm, right? Until we can determine that it is not true, right? Until it is declared false. So it will specify the value of the population parameter to be tested. So here. So if we look at the alternative hypothesis, the H1, a statement or claim about a population parameter that will be true if the null hypothesis is false. That means if we are going to reject the H null, then the H1 will be accepted. All right, so see the second point. The rejection of H null will imply the likely truth of the H1. If H null is rejected, then H1 is automatically accepted. So in this case, if we are going to reject the H null, means after the use of the new fertilizer, the mean height of this plant has increased because the population mean is greater than 25. Okay, so as an introduction, we have to look at the pair of hypotheses, H null, H1, and the meanings of them. Okay, now we move on to the third point. So in order for you to determine when or where you reject the H null, we have to refer to this point 3, significant level. We use small alpha to represent it, is the probability of rejecting a claim. That means in this case, we are referring to the H null, the parameter of the populations mean. Okay, a claim cannot be proven by scientific testing and analysis, but if the probability of it occurring by chance is very small, it is said that there is sufficient evidence to reject the claim, right? Which is referring to the H null. We can reject the H null if the probability of it occurring is by chance is very small. So how do we know it is very small? If it is smaller than the significant level. Okay, so that's why the significant level is the probability of rejecting a claim, the H now. Okay, so another value that we need to know of is the critical value from 0.4. It's the value that separates the rejection region from the acceptance region. So the range of values at which you will reject the claim, that means you will reject the H now, is the critical region or rejection region. Now, let's say I'm taking an example. Alpha equals to 5%, right? For a normal distribution, let me sketch the bell-shaped curve, which is symmetrical. In the middle is 0. And taking the example that I have just now, H now, the population mean initially should be 25 cm, the height of the plant, but after the use of the fertilizer, we expect to see the mean height to be greater than 25. Right? So if we are going to reject the H now, saying that the mean height has increased, then we have to determine the critical region. So since the H1 suggests that the mean is greater than 25, we are looking at the right-hand side. And that is the probability of 0.05 over here, right, which is the significant level. So what do we need is to find out the critical value. In this case, is the z-score we need to determine. So how do we determine this z-score value? We need to refer back to the normal distribution table, and the probability that we will be able to look at is 1 minus 0.05 from the table, so which is 0.95. So I will show you the normal distribution table, where I put it somewhere below here. Now, we refer to the normal distribution table. You can scroll down until you see the smaller table here. When the probability is 0.95, the corresponding z-score is 1.645. See that? So that is the z-score value we want to determine. Equals to 1.645. So that means I am going to reject the H now if the z-score value greater than 1.645. Okay, so that means the shaded region here is what we call the rejection region or critical region. The big area here, this is what we call the acceptance region. By saying critical or rejection region, again, it means we are rejecting the H now. Okay. So now we move on to the point 5. So in order for us to carry out a hypothesis test, we follow these steps here, A until F. So first thing, we try to define the random variable and its parameters. Second, define the null and alternative hypothesis. Third one, we determine the critical region. Fourth, calculate the test statistic. The fifth one, compare the test statistic with the critical region. And the sixth one, we make a decision and then write your conclusion in context. All right, I will show you these 6 steps by a passive questions as example.
That's all for today's video. If you're interested in more genuine sharing by other geniuses, please subscribe to our channel and don't forget to turn on the notification bell, ding dong. Also, if you're struggling with 1 or 2 past year questions and the mark scheme just doesn't seem to help, Genie has got you covered. Feel free to let us know what question it is by filling in the Google form linked in the description below. GenieUs Hub will get genius teachers to fulfill your request for the solution. Genie will see you next time. Bye-bye.